Scorpio, you're tired of pretending everything's okay, right? Tired of forcing smiles at family lunches, tired of swallowing hurtful comments that you can't argue back with because they're family, tired of being different, complicated, the one who overthinks or overfeels. And the worst part? You've gotten used to this pain. It's become a part of you, so familiar that you don't even notice it anymore when your chest tightens. But today, right now, that ends. Because I'm going to show you exactly why you suffer so much in your own home. And no, it's not because you're problematic, it's not because you're difficult, and it's definitely not because there's something wrong with you. I'll get straight to the point. You suffer because you see what no one else wants to see. You feel what everyone chooses to ignore. While your family lives on the surface, you swim in the depths. And that puts you in an impossible position. You know the secrets no one has spoken of. You perceive the hypocrisies no one admits to. You feel the emotions everyone hides. And then comes the question that haunts you. If you're the only one who sees, is the problem you? No, the problem was never you. The problem is that you were born into a family that's afraid of the truth. And you are the walking truth. Your mere presence exposes lies. Your silence reveals more than the words of others. And that bothers them. It bothers them deeply. Because you don't let anyone hide, not even from themselves. And people hate those who force them to look in the mirror. Now take a deep breath with me, because this is going to hurt before it heals. You need to understand one thing. Your family loves you, but they're also afraid of you. Afraid of your intensity. Afraid of your ability to see through the masks, afraid that you'll say out loud what everyone prefers to keep buried. And you know how people deal with fear: by attacking, by diminishing, by making you believe the problem is that you feel too much, when in reality the problem is that they feel too little. Let me ask you something. How many times have you heard you're too intense? How many times have you been told to relax, not take everything so seriously, not exaggerate? How many times have you been made to feel that your emotions are a burden, an inconvenience, something that needs to be controlled, and then you try to be lighter, easier, more palatable, but it doesn't work, because you can't erase who you are, and every time you try, you die a little inside. And there's something even worse. You're not just the one who sees too much, you're also the one who gives too much. You're the one who shows up, who solves problems, who carries everyone's emotional burden. When someone in the family is struggling, who do they turn to? You. When there's a secret too heavy to keep, who does it keep? You. When they need someone trustworthy, who is it? You. But when you need them, where is everyone? They've disappeared. Busy. No answer. Because using you is easy, giving back is difficult. Now I'm going to tell you something you already know, but don't want to admit. Your family uses you as an emotional dumping ground. They dump everything they don't want to carry on you. Frustrations, resentments, problems, and you accept it because you think it's your role. You think love means absorbing someone else's pain, but that's not love, Scorpio. That's exploitation disguised as family ties, and you've been bleeding because of it. And you know what's even crueler? When you finally explode because nobody can hold on forever, you become the villain. You, who were always there, who always endured, who always held things together. Suddenly, you're the exaggerator, the dramatic one, the one making a mountain out of a molehill, as if years of swallowed silence meant nothing. As if your pain didn't matter, as if you didn't have the right to finally say, enough. So answer me this. How many times have you apologized for finally reacting, while no one has ever apologized for repeatedly hurting you? How many times have you backtracked, asked for forgiveness, tried to fix things, while those who hurt you continued as if nothing had happened? This isn't about you being difficult. It's about them never giving you the minimum respect you deserve. But here's what you need to hear now. You don't have to live like this anymore. You don't have to accept emotional crumbs while handing out banquets of understanding and patience. You don't have to be the safe haven for people who leave you adrift when you're the one drowning. And no, this doesn't make you selfish. It makes you sane. It makes you human. It makes you someone who finally understood that love isn't synonymous with self-destruction. You have permission to distance yourself. You have permission to create distance. You have permission to choose your peace of mind over their approval. It doesn't matter how many times you've been told that family is sacred or that blood is thicker than water. Do you know what's more sacred than blood ties? Your mental health, your emotional stability, your ability to wake up without feeling that weight on your chest. But I know, you're afraid. Afraid that if you distance yourself, you'll be alone. Afraid that if you set boundaries, you'll lose the only ties you have. Afraid that if you stop being what everyone expects, you'll stop being loved. And it's this fear that keeps you trapped. It's this fear that makes you accept the unacceptable. It's this fear that convinces you that it's better to suffer accompanied than to risk peace alone. But here's the truth no one told you. Solitude with peace is better than company with war. Always. It always has been. It always will be. Do you prefer to be surrounded by people who hurt you, or do you prefer to be alone but whole? Because in the end, that's the choice you have to make. And I know it hurts. I know it seems impossible. But you've survived impossible things before. You're a Scorpio. You've died and been reborn more times than you can count. Now let me show you something. Close your eyes for a second and go back to the last family gathering. Remember how you felt. Remember that tightness in your stomach. That need to make yourself smaller, to control every word, to measure every reaction. Remember coming home and collapsing, physically and emotionally exhausted, as if you'd run a marathon. That's not normal, Scorpio. Family shouldn't drain you like that. Home shouldn't feel like a battlefield. And love shouldn't demand that you erase yourself. And there's something else you need to understand. The suffering you feel isn't just about the present. It's about accumulated years. It's about all the times you were misunderstood, all the times you were judged, all the times you felt you had no place, that you didn't belong, that you were too strange, too deep, too intense. It's about growing up feeling like you came from the wrong planet, that you were placed in the wrong family, that there's no space for you to be who you really are. And you know what's most painful about all this? It's that you tried. You tried to be lighter, less questioning, more normal. You tried to laugh at jokes that weren't funny. You tried to participate in shallow conversations about nothing. You tried to be interested in the things they value, but that are empty to you. And each of these attempts was like betraying a part of yourself, because you weren't adapting. You were mutilating yourself, cutting pieces of your essence to fit into a mold that was never made for you. And the cruelest part, even when you've tried your hardest to be what they want, it still isn't enough. Because the problem was never that you didn't try. The problem is that they want a version of you that simply doesn't exist. They want the light Scorpio, the edited, filtered, domesticated version. And you can't be that without ceasing to be yourself. So you're stuck in this impossible limbo. Either you're rejected for being authentic, or you reject yourself to be accepted, and both options destroy you. Let me show you something you've never noticed. You were never a child in your family. You were always the emotional adult, even when you were 5, 10, 15 years old. You were always the one who noticed the tensions that no one talked about, who felt the heavy atmosphere even when everyone pretended everything was normal, who understood the adult's problems before understanding your own, and that robbed you of something precious: innocence, lightness, the right to simply be a child without having to carry everyone else's emotional weight. And nobody thanked you for it. Nobody recognized how much you matured too early. Nobody saw the price you paid for being too sensitive, too perceptive, too responsible. On the contrary, they still hold you accountable to this day, as if you still owed more, as if you hadn't given enough, as if your stolen childhood were a debt you have to keep paying forever. And do you know why this weighs so heavily on you? Because you still hold on to hope. Hope that one day they will understand you, that one day they will truly see you, that one day you will be able to be yourself without being judged, criticized, or belittled. And every time you go back to them, it's that hope that drives you. And every time you get hurt again, it's that hope that bleeds. But how long will you nurture a hope they never gave you a reason to exist? Look, I'm not telling you to cut ties. I'm not telling you to never speak to your family again. What I'm saying is, stop expecting from them what they can't give. Stop killing yourself trying to get blood from a stone. Stop believing that if you're good enough, patient enough, understanding enough, they'll change. They won't. Not because they're bad, but because they're limited. And you can no longer make their limitations your prison. So here's what you do. You redefine what family means to you. You stop thinking that just because someone shares your blood, they automatically deserve unlimited access to you. You start treating your emotions, your time, your energy as precious resources because they are. And you only invest where there is a return, where there is reciprocity, where there is minimal respect. And when you do that, when you finally set real boundaries, get ready. Because there will be drama. They'll call you ungrateful, selfish, cold. They'll say you've changed. And all of that will be true. You have changed. You've gone from being an idiot to being intelligent, from being a doormat to being a person with dignity, from being an emotional slave to being a free human being. And if that bothers them, that's their problem. But there's something important you need to do. Forgive, not for them, for yourself. Forgive because holding a grudge is like drinking poison and hoping the other person will die. Forgive because as long as you harbor resentment, you remain trapped. Forgive because you deserve peace, not justice. Justice never comes. Peace you can achieve. And forgiveness is the first step. Forgiving doesn't mean pretending it didn't happen. It doesn't mean blindly trusting again. It doesn't mean opening the doors again to the person who hurt you. Forgiving means letting go. It means stopping ruminating. It means deciding that what they did will no longer control how you feel. It means taking their power over your emotions and giving that power back to you, where it should always have stayed. And look, there's something about this whole process that nobody prepares you for. You're going to feel guilty. You're going to feel selfish. There will be days when you'll question if you're doing the right thing, if you're being too harsh, if you shouldn't give them another chance. And in those moments, I want you to remember one thing. You've already given millions of chances. You've already been more understanding than reasonable. You've already sacrificed more than is healthy. The problem was never that you gave too little. It was that they didn't value anything you gave. Now comes the hardest part to accept. Your family will probably never acknowledge how much they hurt you. They will never admit the pain they caused. They will never apologize in the way you deserve. And you need to make peace with that, not because it's fair, but because expecting recognition from them is continuing to give the power of your healing into the hands of those who hurt you. And you can't do that anymore. Your healing is your responsibility. Your peace is your responsibility. Your happiness is your responsibility. And no one, not even family, has the right to demand that you destroy yourself to maintain the illusion of harmony. Real harmony doesn't require someone to suffer in silence. Real harmony isn't built on the hidden pain of one of its members. And if the harmony of your family depends on you erasing yourself, then it's not harmony, it's oppression. And you know what happens when you finally break free from that, when you stop trying to fit in where there was never room for you. You discover that there's a whole world out there, people who will understand you without you needing to explain yourself. People who will value your intensity instead of trying to diminish it. People who will love you not despite who you are, but precisely because of it. You will build your own family, not by blood, but by choice. Of people who chose you back, of people who stay when things get tough, of people who see you at your worst and don't run away. And then you will understand. Family was never about DNA. Family was always about who stays, who cares, who truly sees you and loves you anyway. But until then, You need to do something radical. You need to be your own family. You need to be the safe haven you always wanted them to be. You need to give yourself the acceptance you always hoped to receive. You need to validate yourself, support yourself, understand yourself, because no one else will do that better than you. And when you finally become for yourself what you always wanted others to be, something magical happens. You stop needing their approval, and then you are free. Free to go or stay, free to get closer or move away, free to love without losing yourself, free to have boundaries without guilt, free to choose yourself without fear. And this freedom, Scorpio, is what you've been searching for your whole life. It wasn't about their acceptance, it was about your own. So now I ask you, how much longer will you wait? How much longer will you sacrifice yourself, hoping that magically they'll wake up one day different? How much longer will you accept treatment you would never accept from a stranger just because it comes from family? You've suffered enough, you've tasted enough, you've tried enough. Now it's time to do something different. Choose yourself. And when you make that choice, when you finally put yourself first, some people will be shocked. They'll question you. They'll try to make you feel guilty. Let them talk, let them judge, let them think what they want, because their opinion of you was never the problem. The problem was always you believing in that opinion more than you trust yourself. You are profound in a superficial world, intense in a world that values lukewarmness, genuine in a world that lives behind masks. And your family, with all the love they may have, doesn't know how to handle it. They weren't prepared for someone like you, and that's okay. It's not their fault they don't know how to cope, but it's also not your fault for being who you are. So stop apologizing for existing. Stop making yourself small to fit into spaces that were never meant for you. Stop diluting your essence so as not to bother others. You weren't born to be comfortable. You were born to be real. And real is unsettling. Real challenges, real transforms. And not everyone is ready for that. But that's not your problem. Your problem now is just one: to heal. To rescue yourself, to rebuild yourself away from expectations, criticism, and judgment. And if you need distance for that, take distance. If you need silence, be silent. If you need time, take all the time you need, because your mental health is worth more than any family obligation. It always has been. It always will be. And when you finally heal, when you finally regain that strength you always had but forgot, one of two things will happen. Either your family will learn to respect you on your terms, or you will have built such a good life without their toxicity that it won't matter anymore. And in either case, you win, because in either case, you will be whole, you will be free, you will finally be at peace. So Scorpio, the question isn't, why do you suffer so much in your own family? You already know the answer. The real question, the one that truly matters, is, how long will you allow this suffering to continue? How long will you choose them over yourself? How long will you believe that love means accepting pain? Because if there's one thing you need to learn today, right now, it's this: you weren't born to suffer. You were born to transform. And the first transformation you need to make is this: transform the pain of family rejection into the strength of your own self-acceptance. And when you do that, when you finally give yourself what you always expected from them, you will discover that you were always complete, that you never needed anyone's validation, and that the only home you truly needed to build was always within you, waiting for you to have the courage to inhabit it.